Hello guys, today we're going to be working on this Frigidaire glass top stove, and the complaint is that the broil element is not heating. The model number it's on the display. Welcome to DIY Repair Now. Read all the warnings, and during this video you will see one or more of these icons to help you do this repair safe. So as the customer said, the broil is not coming on, so we're going to go ahead and start taking the stove apart and find out why it's not heating. The first thing we're going to do is disconnect the stove to avoid electric shock. You can also turn it off at the breaker. If you turn it off at the breaker, just make sure with a multimeter that you're not getting any voltage here. That way you don't electrocute yourself. Just be safe. So we're going to go ahead and open the oven, and we're going to go ahead and remove one of these racks, put it to the side. And now we're going to grab our 1/4 bit to start getting these straps. This is like a metal wire clamps. They are holding the broil in place. This is another one. Remember, this is 1/4 screws. They are 2 wire clamps. They are holding the broil element in place, and that's the way you remove them. Now we have a better access to the broil. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the 2 screws that holds the broil in the back. Once you do that, we already got our heat element loose. This is the part that we're going to be replacing. You can find a link in the description of this video, and you can get it in Amazon, Repair Clinic, and another source. So we're going to do the unboxing because we already take a pic and we saw that the heat element is damaged. But we're going to show you how to troubleshoot it when you don't have a visual damage on the heat element itself. This is the part number, as you can see right there. So we're going to go ahead and pull the stove out. Like I said before, we can see that the broil is damaged, but sometimes the broil element or the bake element, the one on the bottom, is bad, and you know, it doesn't look like it's bad. It looks like it's normal. So you want to check it with a multimeter. Once you remove those screws, you can remove this cover and you have access to everything. Be careful with sharp edges. Those edges on this cover, this panel, are very sharp, so you have to be very careful. Now we're going to go ahead and set our meter around there, and we're going to check ohms. As you can hear, is beeping once I put the leads together. So I'm checking ohms with beep. I'm going to go ahead and put this alligator clippers. Those are alligator clips. You can get this on Amazon as well. You can find basically anything in Amazon. And we're going to go ahead and take a picture before we disconnect everything to remember where everything was connected. Those pictures will save your life most of the time. Now we're going to go ahead and put one lead in this side. It doesn't matter the red or the black. We're just checking for ohms, so you don't have to pick any colors or anything like that. And once we check those leads on the broil element, we don't hear any beep. We don't see any reading for ohms in our tester. So we're going to go ahead and check the bake element just to find out if the bake element is fine and to see if our tester is not throwing us off. And once I put the other lid on the other side of the bake element, we are having a reading of 18 ohms and also the beep, which is very convenient if you have a multimeter that has a beep tone for ohms. Now we're going to go ahead and double check just to make sure we don't have any loose connection with our leads and no reading whatsoever. Always disconnect one side of the heat element to have a better reading. A lot of people go ahead and test it with the leads connected, but I found a better way. Just connect at least one side of the heat element. just to have a better reading with the tester. Now we're just gonna go ahead and put one screw to hold that panel in place. And now we're gonna go ahead and have access to the front of the stove and go inside the oven. We already disconnect the wiring in the back, so we're gonna go ahead and wiggle this heat element out. As you see, sometimes it gets stuck, but if you wiggle it, it will come right out, just like so. As I was saying before, you can already tell right there where is the damage on this heat element. Where you see those arrows, there's a burn spots right there, so that's a very clear indication that our heat element is bad. But sometimes it will look normal, you don't see those burn marks right there, so you will have to test it with your leads. Now if you see those marks, you definitely need a broil element or bake element, which is the one in the bottom, and you have to replace it. Now repair this stove for this part is affordable. This heat element is inexpensive in Amazon or Repair Clinic or even Marcon, which Marcon only sells for dealers, but you get the idea. Cheapest way always gonna be in a better way is always gonna be Amazon anyways. Now we're gonna go ahead and fit our heat element, our new heat element in those holes. Just put it in place, wiggle it in, and now we're gonna go ahead and look for the two screws that hold this heat element in place. Those screws inside the oven always gonna be different. It's gonna have a different color because they are being exposed at high temperatures. So whatever screws coming out of the oven, they will be like brown or black because of the heat that produce the oven. Now once you get it in place, we're gonna go ahead and put the two screws in the back first. As you can see right there, I don't have a good view, but I put a picture right next to it. That way you guys can see what I'm doing. Install those two screws in the back. And now we're gonna grab our other 1/4 screws to put the clamps, the metal wire clamps that holds this heat element in place. Again, take a picture before you remove this as well, because that picture will help you to remember how it was. As you see, I have a picture on the left side of the screen, and I'm installing those screws as well, just for you to have an idea, because I didn't have a good view while I was doing this because I had my camera tilted. Now I'm doing the last screws for this clamp, and that's how it looks when it's already being replaced. There's a picture right there. Those are the two screws that I installed last, and the two in the back. You can see it right there in the footage. This is the old part, as I showed you before. It's totally burned out. And now we're gonna go ahead and install our top rack, close the door, and now we're gonna go ahead and connect the wires to our new broil and the back. Remember, we only put one screw to hold the panel in place until we get everything installed inside the oven. So now we're gonna go ahead and remove the screw, have access to the wiring again. Remember, if you took a picture, this is the time to look at your phone, yes, to double check and triple check that you have the wiring connected the way it's supposed to. You don't want to connect any wires in a wrong way, because you will create a shortage. You can damage main computer board or the brand new broil element. And now you can hear we have a beep sound with our tester. If you don't have a tester and your broil has a burn mark, just replace the broil or the bake element. But you see, we do have a beep and we have a reading for ohms. That means everything is fine. Remember that we also disconnect our bake element to check if it was good. So remember to plug it back in. And now we're gonna connect our new broil element. Another tip that I'm gonna tell you, if those terminals goes in too quick or loose, keep in mind that sometimes these terminals open when you remove them, so you might have to, you know, clip in again. So just use like a pliers or needle nose pliers to clip him in, you like close him. That way it has a good connection, and you can feel like sometimes if you connect and it comes right out very easy, that means you need to close those terminals. Otherwise, you will have a bad connection there, and that wire is gonna burn out. The terminal is gonna burn out, and you're gonna have another issue where you're gonna have to replace that terminal. Those are some tips that will help you to do a good repair. Now we're just trying to install this panel. Again, be careful with sharp edges. You can remove the top panel as well by removing those screws, but I try not to mess with the top panel. That's why I had to use a screwdriver to put that other part in place. Now we're installing the screws that we have removed to be able to remove this panel. And lastly, we're gonna go ahead and install our stove and test it out. Make sure everything is working fine. You can hear a beep from the main computer board, so everything light up pretty good. We replaced the main computer board about a year ago on this unit as well. This is a Frigidaire, and now we're just gonna go ahead and set the time because the time went away when we disconnected. So we're just, you know, trying to leave everything good and nice for our customer. Once you set the time, we're gonna go ahead and turn on our broil, which is the part we are concerned, which is the only one that it was not heating. However, when you do testing, you might turn on the bake element. Just remember to don't touch any heat elements while you're testing, because you can burn your fingers. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera here, and I already got the broil element on, but it's gonna take a little while. Just bear with me here, and you will see how the heat element is gonna start getting red little by little, and that will be a clear indication that this repair is a success. As you see right there, it's coming on nice, and it will turn red for a couple minutes, and then it will turn off, and that's the way it works. Don't think that because it turned off for about 4 or 5 minutes something is wrong with it. That's the way the oven works. So once it turns red, that means you did a good repair. That means everything is fine. You don't need to worry about anything else. Just put anything in there trying to cook something, just to do a legitimate test, and that would be it for you guys. At this point, we're pretty much done. So all right guys, if this video helped you in any way, you can show us appreciation by giving us a tip using the following options that you see on the screen. If you cannot provide with a tip, is another way to support this channel by just dropping off a comment in the comment section down below. Subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the bell to receive notifications. Thanks for watching.